the New York Post, would-be Trump assassin's sniper nest revealed. Photos show AK-47 rifle, GoPro, and backpack in hidden spot. I think this is important context for people to consider. There's been a bunch of people who have been opining about this. It looks like he was setting this up in such a way. I'd imagine, and I think, Raymond, you might know better than I, but it looks like he was going to lay down, and he has that body armor set up on the fence so that he expected to be shot at.
Yes, he's got his protecting barrier. It's like his sandbags. He's in the middle of it. You can see him ready to go. So if they shoot at him, his body will be in the middle there, and then they'll take the deflection.
What's it called when in the prone position? Is that what it's called?
Prone, yeah. He should be prone.
You lay on your stomach and you're aiming forward, and then he's got the body. What looks like people said backpack, but that looks like he's got two different types of armor of some sort. For
they're ceramic plates. That's what they're
ceramic plates. That's what they're claiming. Wow. So he was expecting.
He's ready to go. He was ready.
Yeah.
To go.
He was expecting a shootout, which is, I think, all the more interesting.
And filming it.
Right. He was prepared to, I think, sort of become famous. And, you know, he did, he escaped from the scene and he had his car with a stolen plate on it. But apparently between the time the Bolo report went out, it was like 15 minutes when he was nabbed on Interstate 95. So it's interesting because there is a level of, like, to me, what says narcissism with the camera, but also preparedness. This is something that he was obviously thinking was high stakes. He wasn't just wandering onto the golf course. He came prepared. There are other reports that he had been there for like 12 hours.
Yeah, we have that story actually too. He had been waiting outside Trump's golf course for nearly 12 hours. But how did he know Trump was going to be there? Here's the scary thing, because if that's true that he was waiting there, that means that it was just he was waiting for any kind of opportunity.
A Sunday.
But this means he and others may be waiting in other areas where Trump is not, hoping they see him. And this was just the one location Trump went to.
We also got lucky that there was an eyewitness that seen him run out of the bushes. Yeah. They took a picture of him and took a picture of his plates. They gave the plates number to the police, and they were able to catch him down the road. If there was not someone there to take that picture to let the police know, then he might have gotten away.
So the suspect, his name is Ryan Routh. I think that's how they're pronouncing it. He says in this book where he was talking about the assassination of Trump, which is creepy, that he's not a Democrat or Republican. But I just want to point this out. Daily Mail says a neighbor described the registered Democrat as unusual and was not shocked to learn that guns were involved. There's a Biden-Harris sticker on what they say is his vehicle, and they say he was a registered Democrat.
And he's apparently donated over, I think it's something like 19 times to Democrat causes. I mean, he can say whatever he wants, but his actions are pretty clear in which direction he was leaning. I think it's interesting that he could have been there for 12 hours. One of the other reports I was reading was saying, there's a chance that even though this guy is apparently from Hawaii, that he had tried to get onto the golf course before just to see what security is like. So even though we're hearing from Secret Service that this was sort of an off-schedule event, there wasn't a formal plan for Trump to be there. It was sort of maybe a last minute. They came up with the security I'm sure they have security protocol in place for him golfing. He golfs all the time. But it is interesting that somehow he would either get information that this was happening so last minute, or somehow have been in the know enough to just be laying there and wait and get lucky.
Yeah, and apart from the donations too, before obviously social media websites scrubbed his accounts, people were, screenshotting. He was rabid, Trump derangement syndrome, supported BLM, the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, this guy was not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination.
We do have a quick fact check. I should say, maybe that's not the right way to phrase it, but Destin Kelly in the Super Chat saying it's not an AK, it's an SKS rifle. I'm not surprised the media got it wrong. So I will trust a random man super chatting into this show as a viewer who I believe this person is more correct, has a higher probability of being correct than the corporate press.
Well, especially the New York Post. If you remember, in the aftermath of the breaking news that this was happening, the New York Post reported that it was actually just two people firing at each other, had nothing to do with Trump, wasn't an assassination attempt. Of course, that turned out to be fake news. So don't trust the New York Post.
It was two people firing each other. It was just a Secret Service agent firing at a gunman who was...
Well, he didn't fire back, though.
He didn't fire back.
Yeah, true. So the initial reports were that he fired, they fired back. Now they're reporting he did not fire, they fired on him, he fled.
Crazy.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are ragging on the Secret Service. I want to praise and commend them. I'm hearing people be like, how did this guy even get close enough to where the president was? Because it's a golf course. There's people all over the place. And he's walking on a private road where people are. The Secret Service scouted ahead in advance. That's what they should be doing. They caught him. They saw him, and they opened fire on him. I mean, sounds like the Secret Service actually did their job. I don't want to say went above and beyond. Above and beyond would be they'd find him before he got to the perimeter, but doing their job is at scouting out in advance. Trump was 300 to 500 yards away with various shaped terrain blocking him. There was no line of sight at any point. I think Secret Service did a good job on this, and a suspect was apprehended. We believe this is the guy.
This is definitely better than Butler, right? I mean, Trump was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, so Secret Service has certainly improved in this case. And again, maybe in that sense, it's because Trump golfs all the time, and they have a tried and true protocol that basically they have to practice every time he takes the golf course. You know, I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I'm grateful that President Trump's okay. I think it's great that the Secret Service was able to intervene before any shots were fired. I feel like we are 2 months out from Butler, Pennsylvania, and the rally there and the shooting there. It seems weird to me that no one would be checking the perimeter. You'd think right now in particular, you know, the protocol would be even more intense than it normally is, even though this is sort of home turf for Trump. And you got Biden doing that interview saying, like, so glad the president's okay. Secret Service needs more resources. I mean, is this really a resource question that even when security is supposed to be heightened right now during this election after the first assassination attempt, there's still not enough there to secure the president? There
is so much here to break down. It's crazy. And so I always try to pace things out into segments so we can get to everything, but there's just too much in this story. Take a look at this from Raheem Kassam. On May 4th, 2024, the would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh posted this on his Facebook page, which appears to be from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. I asked ChatGPT to translate it, and so it looks like we have this document, and it is official documentation of presumably this guy, maybe not, maybe someone else that's redacted, joining up as part of the military service in Ukraine as part of Unit A7788. Now, maybe it's not him. Semaphore had interviewed this guy, I believe, a year ago, and he claimed to have meetings with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, as well as to be involved in the International Volunteer Coalition. I believe they said the IVC has him listed on their website. This raises some very serious questions. I've talked about it quite a bit. I don't have it pulled up. I'm going to pull it up now because I pull this story up all the time. Maybe this story's fake. Politico says Ukrainian efforts to sabotage Trump backfire. This is January 11th, 2017. You've seen me bring this story up a lot. They've never retracted this. They've never issued a retraction on this story. That means Politico, on the record, 7.5 years ago, said Ukrainian government officials tried to help Hillary Clinton and undermine Trump. So I got a question. This guy has known ties to Ukraine. Now, Ukraine saying, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. He, according to various reports, was fighting in Ukraine. We don't know if it was officially with the government. There are these documents. He's allegedly, in his own words, according to Semaphore, was recruiting international volunteers to go fight in Ukraine. There are, I believe, and I'll put it this way, we must investigate Ukrainian involvement in the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. It would be ridiculous, partisan, and stupid to overlook that a country that previously was reported as trying to undermine Donald Trump in his first election, who everyone knows, right? When Donald Trump was asked in the debate, do you want Ukraine to win? He didn't say yes. He said, I want the killing to stop, which means there's going to be a negotiation. And Ukraine's attitude is, the Democrats win this, we get 100 billion more. They will keep paying us because they want us to go after, they want us to hinder and harm Russia or whatever the reason is. Trump gets in, he negotiates a begrudging settlement. So Ukraine has a real reason to not want Trump to get elected. And then one of the international coalition organizer guys, whatever, who may be involved, I don't know, comes to, Florida. He apparently his last residence is Hawaii, and is setting up an attempt on Trump's life. Now, it may just be he acted completely of his own volition. What I'm saying is not that I think or know that he was ordered or in any way working with or anyone from the Ukrainian government was involved. I'm saying this is enough for any reasonable person to say, let's ask that question. Our investigation should take us there, and we should get official statements and documentation as to who he is and what he did. However, to be fair, anybody working any kind of intelligence, be it as crappy as Ukraine or as good as the U.S., there's not going to be a paper trail.
Well, word on the street is I heard a report that he didn't have a job all those years. So how is he going from Florida to North Carolina to Ukraine and not when I say Florida, Hawaii and back? If you don't have a job, how are you getting back and forth across the world? He did say he made $3,000 a month, but that's still not enough. I don't think to get plane tickets left and right. And also on the Super Cheddar, the SKS is manufactured primarily in the Soviet Union, so it is from that area of the world.
Interesting.
I think that the likelihood that we get clear information before the election is very slim. And I think, again, to contrast with the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, because we have to differentiate between the two, that's how insane this year is, we got very little information. The information we did get tried to say that that shooter was motivated by just sort of general derangement, maybe general anti-political stance. They mentioned that he Googled both Trump rallies and Biden rallies. In this case, it's a lot harder to spin. And I think that's going to be one of the reasons that all of the federal agencies basically clam up and they don't want to talk about it. And I think it's, I know we all wish we had more information about the first assassination attempt sooner. I think there are members of Congress who are trying really hard to get it out. But when you are working against a sort of corrupt state that doesn't either want to admit failure or knows that they in some way are complicit in the lack of security around President Trump, it makes it unlikely that the voters will have formal clarification. Now, on the other hand, with the Biden-Harris sticker on his Trump, I'm sure voters feel pretty clearly about what is going on here, which is why you see Trump and Vance, I think kind of accurately directing a lot of attention to both the media and Kamala Harris herself with the language that's been used surrounding the campaign.
Yeah, and I think they're already trying to, as you say, like shut up discussion about it. We can't get answers. And they're trying to accomplish that by flipping the rhetoric claims on President Trump, right? You see them on the mainstream media saying, oh, this is because President Trump has heightened the rhetoric. He's used aggressive language on the campaign trail, particularly about Springfield, Ohio. And that's why stuff like this is happening, when in reality, Democrats for months have been calling Trump Hitler. Representative Goldman recently said he needed to be eliminated. So they are the one ratcheting up the rhetoric and making political discourse in this country dangerous. And we see the fruits of that right here.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.